think if you leave them to just sit there and occupy territory, they will occupy your mind from that moment forward. High ground being defended. Squids established on the other side, though. It's ASD who's got quite a bit of control. Those squids have to be destroyed, but it's keeping these players back. They want to be on the payload, at least firing down upon it, but it's taken them a while. A little bit of free ground for their opposition. At Euphoria, well, I don't think they expected to lose Happy in that battle. Well played by the Doctor Strange of the defense.
This is the thing we've already spoken about. You remove one avenue of their vanguard, they have another avenue to go right back to. Guys as well, I think he is the only scorer goal you're going to see in this tournament, but the amount of damage that he's able to achieve with it has been impressive. Will be taken down by SD, and you have to bear in mind, in these early points, these losses are always going to hurt the defenders that bit more, needing to fall back, needing to attempt to try and regroup without that extra damage. And we can already see JT under serious pressure, trying to use the duality of the shields to at least get them back a little bit further so they can look to battle once again.
Well, it was nice to see Squirrel Girl for a little bit. Maybe the other Empire of Eternal Night map fits the lore a bit better, but she knows Ratatosker's here somewhere. Oh my goodness! JT again, man! You just can't give him those chances. He's got a clear shot, left, right, left, and those supports are down. That support, that duelist, it doesn't matter. Unless you got more than 250 health, this guy can one-shot you, and you're seeing that in action. Great stoppage by the defense.
I'll say as well, like I saw the name of the sort of right click being that mag cannon, and I was thinking, oh, cannon might be a little bit of an overstatement. I think it's an understatement. I think it needs to have the word like bazooka or something a little bit more ridiculous, because the amount he is able to just wipe squishy players out with it has just been a nightmare for every single team. Moto going to be put into play and actually being attempted to combine. Removing the healer is the goal for JT, and it is successful.
Yeah, it is just a natural reaction. You hear that ult coming in. Meteor M comes into play. Same thing, though, on the other side. Euphoria firing it into the Namor. Down to the Butterfly for November. And this is why you banned the Psylocke. He is just running free in the back lines, taking everyone down. And another big stoppage from that defense. The payload is not moving anytime soon.
Yeah, the scary thing for Euphoria as well is in that moment they've used both of their strategist ultimates, so those are not going to be able to come back online for this next battle, which when there's a minute left on the clock, that is a scary prospect. They do have a dance of a butterfly of their own, but they've also got to be careful of those backlines. Again, we're going to hear that Eye of Agamotto go through, but there has been a response in terms of the heals. Not going to allow them to really capitalize off it whatsoever, but eventually they do get that damage done. Finally, they can look to pressure forward, and with Hippopotamus being gone, it should now be a chance for them to get that first point.
Yeah, it definitely is. Only a couple meters to go. Staggers in play as well. If anyone does want to contest this, it will be a brave play, but hold on. The portal comes in. They've got a quick rotation by the looks of things, and now they're very much here to play. But there's been stoppage after stoppage for the defense. They got caught out, not having any healer ultimates, and the dance of the butterflies was in play. Happy has just lit up November 24. Another coming in now for that defensive side, and it's looking to be a cleanup as the ultimates come into play. Lots of defense here for the attacking side. They've got lots of health to work around, and you can't really damage output that. Buys a little bit of extra time as the defense lose two more. Meteor M put in for good measure, and free space to be found towards that site once they deal with Magneto. I don't think anyone else can really get here before we hit checkpoint, so overtime will be canceled. We're back to the timer, 2:30 on the clock.
Definitely got a little bit dicey in the mix. I think, again, we're going to see the value coming out of that invisible boundary to keep a lot of the players alive in those brawls, and you can immediately see this attempt to fight for the high ground. Obviously, one of the fun things with this map is the way that it fixes itself when you break it, the reverse opportunity that can force people off that top, making it a little bit harder to try and fight for that ground. We know, though, again, this middle point is an incredibly difficult spot to try and fight for. Dance of the Butterfly thrown in once again. A hefty amount of damage for November 24. Who could have seen that one coming? Oh, me, no, definitely not. This guy again on the Psylocke, ripping them apart. No chance.
Like I say, you got to choose the lesser of two evils, and leaving November 24 with the Psylocke, it appears to be a greater evil than Null himself. He's made it out as well. The shields placed by Invisible Woman just blocking those shots as well, even if they did chase him down. Up top, Namor sitting in wait and almost gets his chance. Well, had his chance, but he whips it. Can't quite connect the kill, and now there's backup Namor of their own going to go up and defend that. For rejects, they have a choice. They can decide to dive on this Namor, take the left side and sweep back around, but it looks like a bit more focus on the payload itself. Oh, that was almost the kill. Desperately close was Guys, and he's trying to find him. The ultimate has found Happy, and the flank up here. No squids online, but he's got his spear ready to go. It's all about finding that Namor on top.
Sakamoto has gone into play, but there's quite a bit of healing within that side. They've got to try and deal with. That's the attempt to get rid of the healers. They did manage to remove Flow. That's at least one gone, and you can see the amount of damage that's currently in. November 24 has done well from the back line, but Happy with that dance of the butterflies is already going to put this one to bed. That should be the space taken. It seems like Fun is definitely not just going to forget that November 24 was in that back line, and Hippopotamus has to be careful not to go down, but again, those shields are there to keep him standing.
November 24 is out. I think he just activated Dance of the Butterfly. Look, it's on 2%, 3%. That ult just got cancelled. That could have shifted the tides completely. It could have gotten them back onto that payload. Now they've got to do it with just meters left and no picks, no damage. And November 24 only just making it here right about now. The damage in return, though, very much there as Euphoria hit everything. Invisible Woman popping the heals and the damage. It's two found. Another. That is phenomenal work from the Invisible Woman to force physics and just a left click. Standard as it is, the cufflinks go in and the round is theirs, at least for that checkpoint. Still a bit more distance to make up.
I feel like, though, at times that can be the toughest checkpoint to take. A lot of very tight angles to try and make your way through. So definitely a higher chance now to make it towards that endgame. We also, of course, are seeing that switch up of NLE, obviously by name in the team, but NLE Chopper has come back into the roster for this one, and I definitely think that we're seeing it being noticed, doing fantastic work when it comes to that Doctor Strange. ASD as well has been flying and continues to do so. That's Flow gone, removing both of the strategists from the backline could completely turn the rest of these fights. Already Gaius is going to remove Happy once more.
Bagamoto, there's one in return though, waiting for the heals to fade, and we could have it. The healers dove on the back, and it is just, it's not even the ult, it's not even needed. Just a straight up attack into their back lines, a walk in from Doctor Strange, and he is very much being their shield. November 24 picking up kills, and one last contest. That's what they're realizing they've got here. The defense chocked and loaded with ultimates. Invisible Boundary is there to work with. Meteor M is online as well. They've made their way to the point. They found themselves a pick as well with JT, but there's a big fight from ASD. He bought time last time. Instead, now he is taking heads. KO's found. And the payload moving once again towards this destination. It looks like actually they might have time for just one more contest because they went down so quickly, but this is the last shot.
It's going to be tight just to try and get back into that choke quick enough without taking too many casualties along the way. That's the problem. Just 4.5 meters, but we've seen this before. Right at the depths. That seems to be where they can come alive. Happy already, though, is going to remove one of those strategists, make things that little bit more difficult. But look how close the overtime is. They need to try and eliminate these remaining players while still sticking on towards the point. Aya Bagamoto comes through, which should allow them to clear, but actually Mr. Fantastic just shielding on. They are going to get it over the line right at the depths. OT was what they needed, and it will be the 3-0 to start with no time left on the clock.
Time to switch things up.
Oh, that was a close one indeed. If that was just a couple meters, and again, we saw them push past it by the narrow margin, it would have been devastating. But now, best case scenario for these attackers is in overtime. They've got to fight all the way, and there's no room for error. I don't think Guys is going to play. the Human Torch. I would say I doubt Guys is going to play the Human Torch. But I'm surprised, Tom.
Already in the tournament.
I'm very surprised that we've seen Storm and Human Torch left open throughout every game, most of the games. There was occasional Storm bans at the start, and yet it hasn't been brought in at all. And I think it speaks to, you know, obviously the ult and the ult combo, very strong, but in terms of their place in the meta and in terms of the value of having someone like November 24 on a Psylocke, it seems like it just doesn't weigh up.
I think the other thing as well is that it's like, I think we've seen, and maybe not so much in this grand final, but we've seen a lot of Storm. I think that you can still get mass value from the Hurricane without it being on fire, whereas I think the overall value the Human Torch is bringing at the moment from the rest of his kit isn't worth just for an ult wipe. You can get an ult wipe with the Hurricane. You don't need to invest everything into bringing Human Torch in as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just give that little bit more versatility to your toolkit, a little bit more ability. Well, NLE Choppa has gone down. We'll make his way right back up there. Unfortunately, he is being tagged up heavy. Shield needing to be used. ASD waiting for his opportunity. There go the Squids, and here's the fight. Gonna try to take down Storm. That's a big pick. Found from the side. Great value. He's not gonna get out of here, surely. No. Dr. Strange was hot on his heels, and the picks, really, if you trade 1-to-1 as the attackers, that's fine. You're so close to your spawn. The defenders have a little bit of a walk back, but it's not 1-to-1 trades. Euphoria are coming out ahead, and they're keeping players on this point. Payload has been stopped.
Just fighting from the backline, those strategists able to do a fair amount of damage. Obviously, yeah, as you said, it always becomes that little bit more difficult when the defense are the ones to lose their players, but keeping it even and trading out effectively definitely helped them quite a bit. We're seeing Happy get very aggressive up into their face, but hasn't had the same level of success in this series as we've seen throughout the tournament so far. Again, we're going to have to see some of those strategic ults thrown into play just to try and buy time.
And here's the beauty of that Omega Hurricane. You just wait out the ultimate, but actually there's another in response. The defensive side puts through the invisible boundary. Had a little bit of space to work inside it, but there's one in response, a small gap found, and it's November 24 picking off a healer and a flurry of frags that put them right back into winning ways. November 24 might go down, but that payload keeps on moving forward, and that is all they need.
Almost there.
There should be at least one chance to maybe find a response here. They're going to have to go for it pretty soon, though, otherwise the point might get there before they can even contest it just on the 2-meter marker. Portal also being utilized at the exact same time just to get them back into position, but these fights have not gone particularly well. Fun going down immediately is definitely a problem. You mentioned Galactic Legend, but they're also losing battles elsewhere. It's a bit of an awkward one, but LNE has done fantastic work, and now what was a pretty decent play from November 24 ends up in the team being wiped out. The problem is they did get it over the line at the same moment.
Yes, they absolutely did, and exactly as you said, it's the issue, right? Like you've won a fight. Look where their spawn is. You can see the door right there. And they're immediately back on the payload, and if you lose this fight, you're the one that's going to be staggered. That's going to be good distance. It probably makes up for the delay that you've put in. So it's important not to overextend on that fight. Give them a little bit more space so they have that longer rotation. Unfortunately, Fun, he doesn't care about giving anybody space. My guy is just in there for the kills. He's already ripped one up, and that's going to delay them. You can see stepping back already. Defense doing a pretty good job of holding on to this more aggressive position, but expect any moment now they're going to have to give that up. Ultimate's being farmed, though, and they will be online more so for the side of the defense by the... Oh, no, actually, we're coming up around the same time. Flo's about to have ulti online as well.
So we're going to come down to a stagger moment. Who can pop them at the last moment? Instead, it's going to be the Eye of Agamotto that comes through first. A trade out with the fate of both worlds. An attempt will be there to try and find that elimination while the ultimate is going, but it hasn't worked out for them. Instead, it's the backline fight. That's huge. Getting rid of Flo. Hurricane thrown in at the same time, but again, the fate of both worlds is going to deny both teams utilizing those strategic ultimates to try and hold the line. A late moment. Eye of Agamotto is a clean-up kill for NLE, who looks to continue this battle onto the opposing straight, even taking out the Lunar Snow as well. has done a great job to hold this line, even picks off one more for good measure. This man was on the sidelines at times when it comes to this squad with having multiple players, but I think there is an argument that he should have been here the whole time.
Yeah, you can see that Felix and Neko, they put everything into keeping NLE Choppa alive. Really put their heart and soul on the line. He was being healed just a ridiculous amount, and the shield usage, getting the shield of Seraphim online to block those critical kill shots. Really nicely done. Now we get another chance to run this clock down that little bit further. Galactic Legend, though, in play for Euphoria. It's being blocked out. That's a big problem. And nothing. No, not a single thing to be reported home about.
It pulled in all of the bullets as they went to fire. That meteor has just saved the entirety of the team. That is a perfect counter from JT at that moment. Buffs his damage a little bit. There's going to be a response attempted, and actually, the Eye of Agamotto hasn't worked. The thing is, on the other side, those picks are still going in the other direction, giving at least a slight advantage, but keeping Flow alive seems impossible. And the fight back once again coming out from Euphoria is sublime. They will hold on at least that little bit longer.
A little bit more damage put in here by November 24. Will manage to pick up one. It's the Luna Snow. Down goes Happy.
Okay.
And a big push now onto the remaining tanks. Limited healing available. They give up on it. It's fine, though, because it's gotten them the space that they needed. No need to overextend. Sticking with the payload. Doing the housekeeping. Getting rid of those squids as well. Lighting up the tanks. Building up that ult charge. Almost back to another Meteor M for JT. You look at the ultimates. The attacking side, they've got 2 support ults online now. Huge for them. No matter what's thrown at them, they should be able to outlive and outlast. And with Magneto going down, it's looking like Euphoria very much on the back foot. Dive in, though. The swap up. Oh, the Wolverine doesn't actually land the kill. Basugo ends up getting out of there. Meteor M comes in and finds one. That's a healer down. That is a huge pick for the attacking side, thinning out the defenders, leaving the tanks isolated with limited to no heals. This one's done. We've made it to the checkpoint. Surely, even Wolverine getting in, diving out, won't be able to do enough. They simply cannot stay alive up this close. They simply can stay alive up this close. In fact, Meteor M comes in. It's a big contest coming out of the defensive side. They're not giving up on it just yet. It's all thanks to Fun. I don't know how this man has stayed alive. The heals have been phenomenal. Eventually, he'll go down, though. There's just too much damage to sustain these players. Eye of Agamotto used deep. And with that, players on site are isolated.
They're still going.
They're still here.
They
The
ported
portal
it from behind.
Back on. Now there's a rotation coming in from Snow. How the hell is this still going on? There's another portal. This is from their own strange to try to block these players out so they can't possibly walk back through that doorway. Maybe we've finally seen the checkpoint. Oh my God.
I feel like at that point, November 24 just had enough, wanted to get back in time, so he actually switched over to try and battle with the Star-Lord instead. Obviously known for that Psylocke, but it just wasn't quite shredded. Happy has also switched up and was playing the Wolverine, but yeah, that battle was just tank after tank, just sticking as much damage as possible. The strategist doing so much to keep them alive. That's the thing, though. I mentioned it before. It could be tough on that, getting up those stairs, getting into position. Once you get to this point, there's definitely opportunities, especially with Galactic Legend available. There is a real chance for November 24 to do damage.
And he's taken, well, he has been trapped inside the building. That's not ideal. He'll be out of here any moment now. He's trapped in a cage. It's because it was rebuilding. It takes a minute, but he'll be back out in the fight. There you go. You see it breaking up top. He's back in. He was literally put in jail for 15 to 20 seconds, but Galactic Legend now may be a part of this push, looking for the backline's play, already to dive in, doesn't need it. Namor firing away to take the kill, but it was a lot done by November 24 as well. The deep backline push from both of them is cleaning house and conserving these ultimates for the big fight coming. Namor, Gaze about to have his as well. This should be a trump card, but there's 4 ults online for the defense as well.
This is all coming down to the wire once again, right down to those last few seconds. All it takes from their opponents is just a singular drop, and that could turn the game on its head. overtime already called both times in a similar place. But the problem is we've seen that Galactic Legend come into play, but there are healer ults on the other side that he has to try and wait out while they look to try and force things forward. The counters have been working. The thing is, though, it seems like maybe at the final hurdle, just similar to their opponent, it's going to come down to those Vanguards trying to hold the line, trying to hold on once again as they each run in one by one. They're being obliterated, and it will not be enough. It is OT, and it's going to be exactly the same amount of time available.
Time to switch things
Neck and neck, but there's one difference between these two teams. One is desperately fighting for survival in a series that they will need to sweep cleanly. That's the bottom of your screen, the orange team of Euphoria. But Rejects on the cusp of victory, and after edging out that victory right there to bring us to overtime, I feel like they've got the upper hand in terms of momentum. But will that actually translate to a win? I listen, I'd love it to see the Squirrel Girl again. I think that first choke point, it's given a lot of opportunities. I think we are going to get to see it. They've left spawn by now.
Yeah, you'd expect.
All
yeah.
right.
I think it's been something that Guys has been pretty happy to do. Can easily switch back up to Psylocke, also give him a little bit of extra pace to get back into position later in the round. You've got, yeah, I think that they literally are just going to try and get as many picks as possible. That's the thing. It's less about playing that long game anymore. It's about doing getting those picks, and that's why you see November 24 go over to the No More, which again normally you'd expect to see him on the Psylocke. So they're just looking for those early aggressive picks, because you wipe them once and that can be enough.
Should I give them until the count of 4 to walk?
Well, they've wrapped around the right. Not quite the angle that they were expecting to be seeing here on the Reject side. They'll be backing off, conceding some of that space. No more left to take upper control around that right side. November 24. Interesting to see him hit those shots from up top. The whole point here is just to let them push that payload a little bit, and then once it gets in, you start to really dive on them. November 24 comes from the other side, but he's being spotted. There's actually a scrap up there. I believe it was NLE who just went hunting him down. So pushed out of position. They won't have that option anymore, and it really just comes down to a game of farming up those ults and seeing if anyone on your opposition steps out of line for a free pick.
I think that's why they've got that Wolverine as well, hoping to maybe drag one of those Vanguard players away. I think it's a big problem for them so far, is having those Vanguards, and that's exactly what they've done. As Rivazoko going to be down, someone who has always caused them issues in a lot of these fights, this is going to allow them to push it so much further than maybe expected. In fact, NLE is pushing forward, taking every single one of those players down. A huge battle for them to win. Every single meter is going to count when it comes to this stage, and I think that Wolverine choice might actually save them here.
It certainly helped out. That distance that they've managed to acquire off 1 minute stuck in a perpetual state of overtime, one lost fight, and that's as far as you're getting. But for now, there's nothing lost. You can be a little bit more risk averse here because you've got your spawn right behind you, normally at least. But considering it's an OT, really want to be on your guard. Decent damage being done, a player dragged back but able to get out just the same. Dr. Strange forced to fly away. Magneto under threat as well. In comes the invisible boundary. Eye of Agamotto as well. It's caught one outside. That's invisible boundary down. That's Squirrel Girl down. Huge picks coming in. NLE Choppa, baby. He's on the server, and it's hard to miss him. Not hard for him to miss. Or wait, it is hard for him to miss. It doesn't matter. He's insane. What an incredible play. And at this point, they're getting halfway to the checkpoint. They're going to be one fight away from pushing it even further.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just look at that overtime bar. It was so desperately close to them maybe getting off that point a little bit too long. You can see ASDFD is trying to get into a position to catch out one of those Vanguard players. As said, that has been the main saving grace throughout this. It's just those players up top. If you can get rid of one of them, everything completely changes. And already, that's exactly what Felix has managed to do. Eliminate the Doctor Strange. You can see the counter being thrown in on the other side. The only goal is to force them off of this site for a matter of seconds. A split second will do, but they are still going strong. They're still pushing forward. You almost wonder if they did this the first time around, this could have been an incredibly different looking story, but they are still driving all the way up towards that second point, and they're not even going to get anything off the back of the hurricane. I don't know how they're managing to make this look so clean, but it seems like they're going to make it to the second point with no contest at all.
They barely stopped. They didn't stop. In fact, yeah, it was just plain sailing for this squad, taking every single pick. And indeed, I was wondering, the Omega Hurricane put through, it seemed like a little last-ditch effort, and it was because you're having this role swap. They're realizing this just is not working. You're not finding the picks on this defense, and already they have pushed so far. 2 checkpoints and 50 meters deep on the third. We need to see a response from this defensive side. They need to put it in the ground here, or else this is going to be just an impossible task when it comes to making this push of their own. Overtime, all they need, look at the bar up top. All they need to do is push them off this payload for half a second less, and it's theirs. But so far, that's been impossible. Deep Eye of Agamotto, and it's full focus on the healers. Not even the bubble can save them. It's devastation. And Elite Chopper, where have you been? Oh my! He gets the kills, and a few extra meters for the payload going down is not ideal. But there's backup here on the side of Rejects, though. Finally, they're finding those picks. It seems like they may have put this to bed at last. But my goodness, what a distance they're going to have to make up on their push.
If they do the same, I'll be massively impressed, because that's the thing. You're now talking about all that really needs to be done for the side of Euphoria is have your ults online once after they've pushed it for a minute. That's it. I know that sounds like a lot easier said than done with what we've just witnessed, but they got so ridiculously far. Think about what happened in the first 2 rounds. Like, it was both teams pretty much getting to OT just to get it over the line on stage 1 and stage 2. If they can do that once, the game ends. So I think this is going to be a brutal run that needs to come back. But what I will say is, at this stage of the game, at this stage of the day, I'm never going to doubt Rejects, because they have pulled off some of the craziest clutch plays that I have seen throughout the entirety of this game.
Well, they stopped them.
50 kills.
Yeah, 50 eliminations. So, you know, he helped with those, but 24 final hits. That is, when you look at November 24, all the praise we give him, and he had a good game there. Good, not good enough. Not good enough so far, despite his Psylocke, despite the impact on the Moore. Still, neck and neck in terms of eliminations with the Doctor Strange. My goodness. Well, a minute on the clock, and this has to be just a straight up obliteration from the side of Rejects. We cannot see one crack, one weakness if they're going to make this push happen, but it's been narrow margin after narrow margin. They are 3-0 in the lead, and this map on OT, Tom, if they finish with a couple meters extra ahead of their opponents, it will be breathtaking. For now, the early contests are looking very good.
It's just such a margin that they have to break through, and already seeing that Hela come into play, they have gone pure duelist for this one. Just looking at the combination of Hela and the Moore, I'm not sure it's something you would necessarily run throughout a normal matchup, but it's just trying to take down those healers, make sure that one of these fights goes their way, because just look at it, we're already down to that 5-second mark. From this point onwards, already it has to be flawless.
Yeah, they've been pushed off the payload. In fact, now they may be pushed off it for good. JT down. The scrap on the site, Strange, well, it's Strange on Strange, but Annalise, the one seemingly going down. Look at his health bar. How is it rising? He's right back in the fight. He should have been dead to rights, and yet he stands his ground long enough that they can at least, well, sorry, it's actually the attack side pulling in. Invisible boundary. Okay, another pick for the side of Euphoria. They're starting to clean up, starting to find what they need. Down goes Neko, but we'll be right back in the fight A little bit of a delay indeed. JT for one. Meteor M landing a good kill. And the attack side, they're back.
Oh dear.
They're back into it for a moment. Oh no, the damage is incredible from up top. The goddess of death, just when they thought they had a chance on that payload, that was put to bed quite quickly.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where, as said, you see that first run from Euphoria, you see that clutch right at the end, like basically taking them all the way to point number 3. And at that moment, I did not believe that it would be possible for things to turn around. Where has this man been? That's all I'm going to say. Like, we've had him sort of missing in some of the matches we had earlier.
What is the other mode, your convergence? When it comes to domination, though, we've seen a lot of scrappy fights, especially on Waterfall. Iron Fist in play, out of spawn, yeah. Oh my goodness,
yeah.
It's happened. It's happened. And this is what happens, you know, NLE pops off in the tank, you go, let's get anti-tank in here.
That's the thing, yeah. I think that we've seen that with the recent changes, obviously doing percentage damage of HP rather than just that raw damage that used to be the bane of all the strategists' lives. Already, though, what a start for Euphoria. ACSD has done mass amounts of damage, but you've always got to be careful when you see that Psylocke about.
And that's exactly why a lesson learned, perhaps, but definitely taught the hard way. November 24 on that extra damage from the side, and you take a look at where ults are at, building up quite quickly for Happy, having a field day on the Hela, and that's exactly who the target is. November 24 on the dive, smelling blood in the water, and isolated DPS. Happy to oblige the fight, going deep for the duel, but will be taken out. It's a lot of damage waiting up top. Iron Fist not afraid to dive on it, and for good reason. Even someone like Venom might find themselves running away, but luckily as they're on the same team, they can pile in and just take those kills for free. This is a huge dive comp to try to deal with. I think it has a lot of potential, but once you do manage to group up and take that together, with this composition that's in play for Euphoria, I don't think they'll be under as much threat as if we were on some of the previous maps.
Yeah, I think as well, like a lot of it seems to be a more valuable counter to the Strange, and not so much the group. The group actually gives more opportunities to actually section off that dive from causing issues. So as you can see, you can't get near the group, just putting walls down around you. This time, though, they have got that pressure on, and, well, it only works so well. November 24 will be there to finish things off. The Dance of the Butterfly has been used kind of in isolation. That is a bit of a whiff.
Yeah, that's not great. Whether a misclick or misposition, that's something that's going to be paid for. Could be huge value already found, and now instead, November 24 running around looking for an opportunity to pick off one of these supports to have that valuable pick. Instead, it looks like ASD is the one to fall. NLE on his way back, managing to find one from up top. That's November 24. A big threat removed from the battle on the site. They've grouped up. They've got their heals, they've got their DPS, and really, there just is not that level of depth to the support that a Venom on his own can bring.
Sissoko has tried his best to hold on to that site for as long as possible, maybe hoping that the strategist could get back into position by the time, but it is now coming down to crunch time if they're going to fight for this first spot on domination. 85% already in play for Euphoria. This is an incredible start to them, and we're yet to really see the mass change to try and maybe adapt in this scenario. It's probably because that ultimate is online. They want to try and get up in the face, but at least for now, it's not been the greatest of success. Brute incredibly low, eventually will be taken out, but it's looking like there's going to be an immediate response. In fact, so much damage being done. We're going to get the Venom ult in an attempt to try and drag things back, and actually, I think that's exactly what it's done.
Clobbering time, almost online. There it is. It's just come in. If the rest of the squad can get it in time, we could see it put through to try to finish this fight here and now. 99% on the point for Euphoria. A lot to fight through, though. Namor trying his best to provide that value from afar. Keeping the tanks alive is a challenge at this point. Namor popping off. Just one spear needed. And there it is. It lands straight into Hippopotamus. This is it. Surely another support in the target in the crosshair of Namor. Oh, he's having a field day. Every shot seems to be landing, and despite some players escaping with a sliver of health, the new target always falls. Namor delivering shot after shot. Iron Fist, try as he might, he won't be dodging these spears, yet somehow a steady stream of those players keeps on coming. Eventually they fail to touch point, and we find it 1-0 as we move on to Warrior Falls.
Yeah, that was actually really impressive, because I think there's a moment in there where you see the dance of the butterflies, which takes down both of the strategists that were on the side of Euphoria, and they still managed to get there, or two of the three, I should say, and they still managed to heal through it, and that's where ASD, as you were pointing out, just goes nuts. I also say that this is probably the first time that I guess the thing has really been in favor of Euphoria throughout this series. They managed to have fun 12-0 right now, yet to go down. And you think about how some of those fights went, it's actually very surprising that he doesn't have a death on the board.
How come everyone keeps calling me a raccoon? I'm a badass.
You are cute and badass.
Oh, we're about to see those doors open.
Battle
A 1-0 for Euphoria. A slow climb back here in the grand final, well and truly underway.
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
2 chances to take this.
Hey, I bet I can help with the time.
Put us 3-2. And all of a sudden, we've got a game on our hands again. They have to continue at this push, as we said. It's been a very good showing. When you come to those second points, though, ultimates online. A lot of support ultis thrown in just to counter each other out. Flow keeping the squad nice and healthy, but Neko and Felix both have their ultis ready to go. They didn't even use them. Just scrapping straight into that fight, winning it easily. Only Happy had to commit anything. And just like that, the point is there for Euphoria. This is looking like a completely different team to what we saw just a few maps ago.
I think an aspect, again, you're going to have that triple support that they've been happy to run pretty much all the way throughout. And I think that this gives a lot of opportunities to players like Happy, who can play the Mantis in a manner of aggression, almost just damage boosting no more, but also damage boosting herself at the same time. Nonetheless, there is still going to be an attempt at a response. We're going to try and get back in for this fight fairly quickly. Fun seemed like he was under pretty awful conditions, but he is still surviving within the battle of this site, and the Eye of Agamotto is going to drop down from above. That could be the elimination of everybody within those supports. 2 gone, 3 will make it. The Penta, only 1 standing, might as well just fall off the map. And while Neko even does it just as a little bit of showmanship towards the end, that Eye of Agamotto could not have been more perfect.
NLE, man, you can't play this game without him. His value is insane. Like you said, perfectly timed ulti. The fact that they stagger, it's just a couple extra seconds, but it feels real bad to be on the receiving end of that. Rejects. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Way too much. Fun overextended. And now the punish, well, it will be there. Good dodge, though, by ASD. He's been popping off on this Namor and looks to do it again. Lots of players low up top, and it's ASD! He's climbing them all! This one put to bed for Euphoria, surely. They've got control of the site, more than enough players, and even with 1 player on there contesting, all it's doing is staggering them more, because you're not stopping the percentage building up. They have 1 fight, if even. They're going to need a strange portal to get anywhere near this on the side of Rejects.
There you can see them all waiting back towards the spawn. looking to dive back through that portal. That was almost an immediate death on the other side, but they are going to be able to hold on at least that little bit longer. ASD from above, looking to just try and catch those eliminations. Spots out a Moon Knight. That didn't last long whatsoever, as now November 24 has taken up the Namor, hoping to try and find something in response, and they are finding a response, but they need to get back onto the site, losing players left, right, and center, and November 24 wasn't quick enough at all. That is going to be the quick 2-0, and well, it really does feel like after NLE Chopper comes back into the roster, we have got a game on our hands.
Something has changed, Tom. The wind's in a new direction. The smell in the air is not one I've seen before. This is a very different face to Euphoria. ASD, phenomenal in this map. The amount of damage done by Namor. Particular, obviously your Star-Lord. Yeah, I think that like overall a lot of potential to this composition. They're going to keep high ground control as well. It's very common to go for that teleporter up top, so it makes sense as well to be here early. But once you get down into that point, the amount of damage that will be raining down upon you makes it very difficult to actually just step in and start the cap.
This is the sort of composition I think they sort of really showed themselves on yesterday, having that triple strategist, the solo in the form of the Vanguard, and having the opportunity for those two players over on the damage to try and do as much as possible. Similarly though, you also have that opportunity for the double res on the other side, the same for the Mantis, and of course from what we saw from Star-Lord already, so somewhat of a mirror matchup with a few tweaks here and there.
The deep contest. They've dropped down from the high ground to look for, well, apparently a healer on healer pick. That was through the whole pack as well. Felix just managed to destroy them, but Happy's gone down. Maybe have to reposition for the cocoon, get himself back into the fight. For now, ultimate applied by Mantis, able to at least step out onto the site, but behind there's been some players left out to pasture, and now the response coming in from the side of Rejects. They've got their own Mantis ult and now ready to fight inside it. That damage completely mitigated, ultimate through, trying to get the res. Was there anyone to bring back, or were they out of range? It doesn't find anything nonetheless. He ends up rezzing himself. Mantis comes back into play, and again, Rejects not giving up on this site. Legendary, you hear it, the Galactic Legend is in play. Somehow Happy able to dance in and out of these fights without, I don't think he even took damage, let alone got healed it back up. He's just being given free reign on the Star-Lord right now. It's walking them back to their spawn. There's nothing they can do except tuck in and pray that their teammates have them covered.
He's got to be a little bit more careful at the moment, because he's already had that team up utilized. There's 60 seconds before he can bring himself back to life once again, but being given the bubble and so much more, it seems like that there was a reason that many teams feared to play against this Star-Lord combination alongside the Adam Warlock. Rejects this time look to try and take them on, and as of right now it's not been going the best. A large amount of damage from Happy, and even gets out of there for free. Now we're gonna have that death raining down from above already. A double connection. That is already an immediate reset that has to come through for the opponents.
Yep, no chance to stick around and take that fight, and even falling back, they're being tagged up. Luckily, safely out of there. I say that and I expect them to get a kill almost immediately, but well, Happy's going. Happy is sending it in. Look at that movement on the way back out as well. Such a hard target to hit. We've seen it from his POV, but I think they're in third person. Seen it from the perspective of ASDF. It's even nicer.
Oh, down to potentially their last go at this. 45 seconds left on the clock to even battle for that first point. Immediately, you're going to see the usage of that Eternal Bond. An attempt was there to try and deny it, but the attempt wasn't successful. That will leave those heals down on the site for them to try and battle around. Even still, though, Fun is the one doing the work in combination with ASD. That's another pickup. And as the res is attempted to come through, are they going to be able to actually stick the landing? It seems like they will. They have the majority of their players back up and healed. That could be the ult that completely changes this fight. In fact, I think it is. November 24 has been able to find one with that Galactic Legend. But even still, fighting tooth and nail. The revival of a couple has come through on the other side as well, bringing this one back to a more level scenario. Still yet to even get past that first wedge, but they now do start to clear things a little bit more.
Uh-oh, 80% unhappy. The defense is making their way back. They've been contesting this whole time. Magneto steps back in, but this time he might go down so desperately low, and he will be dropped indeed. Someone needs to step in, and they will not get there on time, despite a big farm from that defensive side, just being a couple seconds, a few shots away from the big ultimates that could have turned the tide. They're eliminated before that can come through, and that payload starts to move.
I think that really was the guy is on the Adam Warlock, just being able to bring his teammates back from what seemed to be a pretty much impossible scenario. And I believe also having the soul bond, because without it pretty much is just bringing them back on 1 HP to be slaughtered again.
Yeah, the soul bond is always necessary in that situation. Or you have like an invisible woman ult or something like that, but unless there's a serious ultimate in play, you'd be in trouble. Here goes the Eye of Agamotto, the soul bond instantly to pump them all back up to full HP. Soul resurgence used by Mantis as well. Lots of help coming in. Goddess of Death up top. The defense desperately trying to deal with this push, but they will not be able to stop them with that ultimate. Instead, it's the attack side managing to group back up, avoid those ults that were put into play, but their own ones didn't find the value they needed. They're still not setting foot on that payload. There's still an army between them and their objective. There's still a res ult for Neko. There's still NLE sitting around. Every which healer you want. And the ultimate online to give them that little bit of protection. They may need it as this push comes to shove, and it's Happy from up top that's dealing the damage. Still, the attack side, they haven't fully given up the choke point. That's what this dive is for. Happy with a little bit more. Eternal Bond comes in, a desperate attempt to keep control over this choke point, and it does seem to be working, certainly for NLE. He's found a couple of pieces of damage, kept his teammates alive, and as a result, the picks come flooding in.
It's again a mass role switch for multiple players. We've seen Gaia switch up to play that strategist, and the same for NLE, the star Vanguard in the last map, not having to play the Strange in this one. But now it's almost back to square one. Sure, you've pushed the point at least a little bit further, but it's making it back up that ramp again. 15 seconds. This could be the last attempt if they don't manage to get that little bit further. Galactic Legend alongside the Eye of them. It's done so much damage already. In fact, a chance to potentially clear out some. The Meteor being utilized in an attempt to target those strategists, but immediately there'll be a response. The defenders, though, are doing fantastic work. Happy now. Again, a response with that Galactic Legend, and that just might be it. He's eventually eliminated from play, but it won't matter. The damage was done. The payload was stopped. And that will only be the first point taken for the side of Reject.
Wow. That was one hell of a battle right there in the choke point, and I think we saw exactly what you highlighted earlier on, Tom. Euphoria's ability to read the ultimates of their opponents, wait them out. We see everything thrown at that payload from the side of Rejects, and then afterwards, Happy comes in with the Galactic Legend. That's it. He was just hiding away, waiting for the Galactic Legend on the other side to run out, waiting for Hippopotamus's ultimate to go as well. So there was no more Eternal Bond. There was no more heal. And at that point, it was as free as it comes. Combined with the fact that they don't have a chance to step back and wait it out, they have to go. Have to get on the payload right here and now. Your tanks in, your healers have to step forward with them. And that leaves them wide open for Galactic Legend. Really nice ult usage, nice read. And now, a nice position that they find themselves in. Not too much of a push needed to bring this grand final all the way to the 7th map to push us to a 3-3 scoreline and to put Rejects in a position that mentally will be hard to bounce back from.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that we're here in the first place with the way that those first few maps went, with the clutch capability of the players on the Reject side. But it seems like Euphoria have woken up just when it was necessary with a really solid defensive side. They now look to try and man the attack themselves. Once again, we're seeing that Squirrel Girl put into play to just try and send down constant damage. But it seems the idea from the attack in this stance is to try and wrap around, fight for that high ground once again.
Yeah, they've got some high ground of their own to fight from now, breaking open that wall. It's a good position to play from, just trading blows back and forth down on the site. Ripasuko could be in a bit of trouble now. There's no safe angle to look at with the shield. And indeed, the shield is already gone. Time to fall fully back. And with that, the capture begins. That's not acceptable. Somebody needs to step down and interrupt it, and that's exactly what goes in. It's Ripasuko to put boots on the site. JT coming here to try to back him up. We've already almost got one tick of the point completed. If there's a wipe here, there's no chance to get back in on time. Really, look at the HP. There's going to be a wipe. There's going to be a wipe very soon. In fact, especially if this is allowed to continue. It's, oh my goodness, another for ASD. How can he just walk around back in another? Well, yeah, get the res in just so he can have another kill on the stat line. Eliminations galore, and the payload already
so fast,
coming up on halfway before they get that fight in with 5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, it seemed like the plan was for Ripasuko to sort of like just basically stop them taking it, and everybody else had to do the damage. Unfortunately, they didn't. He gets overwhelmed, and it's almost a free sight. Look, they are already halfway to where they need to be to close out this map in style. Make it look easy. Make it look like yesterday, where they were running riot versus this Reject squad. And guess what? They've got some of the ults to back them up alongside a Galactic Legend put in. And although initially it didn't seem like it was going to do a crazy amount of damage, that's already 2 of the strategists down now. November 24 can bring himself back, but at the same time, we've seen the usage of that Eternal Bond just to give them that extra little bit of life, that extra little bit of space, and they are getting closer and closer to closing this out and evening things up within a matter of seconds. In fact, Mitch, I don't even think there's anybody here to resist in time. They're going to try and utilize the Eternal Bond, but it wasn't even close.
2, 1.
Not even remotely, Tom. You couldn't doubt it for a second. And even if that ult comes in, you really think the whole team's joining in time? That one put to bed with a victory for the side of Euphoria. A big game from Happy as well. This is now starting to look scary. We've gone from a 3-0 start for the side of Rejects with domination on every map. We said it was incredible to even imagine that we were considering Euphoria the favorites, considering what
come back in the form of that Loki, I think that could be huge for them.
So old farm to start this one off for Groot. Yeah, NLE, the guy that we're on board with right now, really has turned the tide of this game. At least as soon as he joined the server, a completely different game was being played. Now, you look at the position that we're in. NLE fired up, ready to go. We know his Strange is nuts. ASD Just wait till they push up to a point where those squids are seeing them. That's going to be unbelievable with the bonus from Felix. That team up in play. Neko, though, is really where my eye is drawn to. He's waited all day to play this hero. I want to see what he's got planned for now. Already losing NLE. Huge pick from guys playing in here on the Squirrel Girl. That's going to be the first.
Gonna try and catch them in a trap. That's Fun in trouble, but they should have the focus of the healers to sort of keep him alive that little bit longer. Obviously, the other tank has already been lost, and immediate usage, I believe, is the portal as well, just to bring NLE back into position. I think even switching away from that group just to have those extra shields versus this Squirrel Girl.
The thing is, someone like Happy here might have a relatively easy time flying around doing that damage. There's not a lot to shoot him out of the sky. It's going to be a team effort to try to deal with him. The shots, though, landing with the acorns, dealing so much damage, moving towards that ultimate being online again. It's a big push-up from Ripasuko, shield in hand. He's trying to claim the space for his squad. He's got the heals with him as well. They are just firing those shots in, but then the ult comes as the heal goes offline. The dive is in as well. And that is surely the end indeed of, well, most of the squad. Sure, Happy goes down, but he'll be right back into the fight. And they have very much delayed as intended.
That was the goal, just to try and slow down as much as possible. I think we even saw the fate of both worlds come in 3 times, courtesy of Loki. That's the benefit. You can bring that ultimate through again and again just to almost bait them into using theirs with your first one, and then have it a second time to make sure that you're getting mass amounts of either heal or damage boosting. It really does make things that little bit tougher, and obviously this gives opportunities to set back up. When you have a combination of Namor and Loki, you might be thinking that's not a direct team up, but it does mean you can have basically little minions stacked up all around the map just firing off at opponents.
Well, the Stampede is in, but not much to be found as a result. That, though, invisible boundary should cause big problems. The fact that they have to, well, give it up. Can't really fight through that as ASD is attempting to, only because 1% away from the ultimate. Here it is now, online and ready to go. If Blood's in the water, it will be fired right in to take the kill, and that's one healer down already. Luna Snow dropped and dealt with. Big push up as well from Fun, taking the kills easily, and the heals coming in from Felix make it impossible for any sort of a response there for Rejects.
I wonder if we'll see at any point that sort of switch back up to attempt the dive. Like they've got the ability to have that Venom online if they so desire. It was something they were running in the previous days that was so valuable for getting them space. The problem, though, is when you have Eye of Agamotto online, you don't really want to be switching away from having that hero available. For now, though, they are running into a brick wall. 30 seconds yet to even make it to that first point, and there's still opportunities. I'm looking at Loki again, having the ultimate available to be stolen, but that's huge. Happy gone immediately.
Yeah, but that is it. The Luna Snow ult pop is going to buy them a little bit of time, hopefully for the rotations to come back in. The dive up against this squad, they haven't been able to deal with ASD. He always has that get out of jail free. Big dive in, though, by November 24. Picking up one, it's Felix down. That's been a big part of the healing game for their squad, certainly of the ult game, and now there seems to be nothing much that can be done. Payload's hitting it to the checkpoint. If it doesn't, I will be incredibly surprised. There's a player or two that could dive in, but only seconds to be bought, if even. And the ult charge they give might not be worthwhile. That is the checkpoint reached. 1 out of 3, 2.5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, that came down to the wire. It's scary when the first point becomes that difficult, knowing that, again, it normally gets more and more difficult for the most part as you go along. Even still, though, looking at Ripasuko alongside that duo of JT, they were deadly in those first 3 maps of really pushing that front line and then giving space to someone like November 24, who's done exactly what his job was, immediately just clearing out that back line, attempting to do damage with the dance of the butterflies, but it's actually going to be that response from the likes of Namor, and actually a lot of damage coming through from LNE. He, again, just seems to find so much value from this Strange.
I don't get it, man. I keep looking at fights and thinking, oh, okay, well, this one's basically done, right? It's just maybe you fall back, maybe you're eliminated, but that's it. That's the question that needs to be answered. And NLE, he pops up and lands 3 kills a lot of the time. Phenomenal, really. How this guy is not just being fought for in the starting lineup. I think today that might change. Big play as well. You can see that Flo has been eating damage into those players, dropping down abilities and just making it impossible for them to continue that fight forward. Fun falls, and the rest of the squad very quickly follow suit. The attacking side making ground halfway there.
Yeah, this is looking much faster than what we saw in the previous point, where they had a fair few more struggles. I think as well, not a particular amount of ultimates online. Again, I'm looking at the opportunity for Loki with the God of Mischief to pick and choose what ult would be viable in this case. Fun up close, does have clobbering time available. If they can combine it well, that could be an opportunity. It is going to be Lunar Snow falling, and then in the backlines, you have Flo gone as well. This is those strategists fallen, and that means everybody else has nobody left to help them. Fantastic work with mere seconds left on the clock, and now Happy does what Happy does best. Get right up in that front line. Don't allow anybody to get even remotely close. And unless we're going to see them almost full sprint or pull out the portal, it is the portal.
Yeah, Horn of Proteus online though, 4 no more. Galactic Legend just now farmed up by Happy, and of course on the side itself, Luna Snow not going to let anybody fall by the wayside. This is a strong position to defend from in the overtime. There goes Aya Bagamoto as well. Of course, it's NLE to really tip the final domino. Galactic Legend comes in as these players are completely isolated, and overtime comes to an end. That is a statement from Euphoria. They don't allow the second checkpoint to be reached, and now that is their goal. Touch that checkpoint, and it's all over. The reverse sweep is theirs.
It's been a journey. Let's put it this way. 3-0 down. A change up of not just composition, but of players. A switch up of bans to disrupt what their opponents are doing. They couldn't deal with the thing Magneto, but they have found ways to battle and brawl versus anything else that was put onto the table. We're starting to see some of those star performers really come online. For the side of Rejects, it's definitely going to be a tough fight. Not an impossible one. Like as said, the one thing you can give credit to this roster for, if anything else, is their ability to be clutch. Well, let's put it this way. Up until this point, they didn't really need to be. It was all in their favor. Yeah. It was all on the table for them to take things over the line. Now we have to wait and see if they can find their footing at the very last moment. It would be one hell of a story to take the victory away from their opponents. You mentioned a team that was made up of finalists from the last tournament, but maybe not going to be the victor once again.
Hey, at least they'll still be finalists. There's always that.
That is true.
But from here, yeah, it needs to be a clean and clinical conclusion to this one. There's the mural of the spiders. But there is a battle within their ranks. We're not going to get to go all the way to the Weaver today. We won't see the web of life and destiny, but we will certainly see what it has planned for these teams. Rejects, they need to hold strong. Stop Euphoria, the clear favorites in the tournament. Here and now, every choke point has to be a massive drain to the clock that is in their favor. They find the opening pick to start with, but it is just one domino that needs to fall. A small snowball at the top of the hill, and it can do a lot of damage at the bottom.
I like the idea coming out from November 24, just basically throwing down those squids to try and deal with any of the strategists in the backlines. That's exactly what he's done again. Second player picked off, just trying to make it more difficult for those aggressive Vanguard players who won't have the support of their healers because of what he's able to do in those back positions. That's something that I definitely think Euphoria are going to have to adapt to, because he's been consistently getting into those backlines early in the map.
We saw Loki try to use the doppelganger to get away, but even invisible, you can't evade the eyesight of ASD. The crosshair is on you, and it delivers every time. Big push up now Coming close to ultimate online. There it is. Ripasuko just found the Eye of Agamotto. Unlikely to be used this aggressively. Great shield as well, offering that little bit of protection. Here's the push-up. The chance to put into play the Eye of Agamotto if things get a little dicey, to dive straight into the healers. And unfortunately, the kills are going the other way. The first domino has already toppled.
I'm opening a portal.
What's he gonna do here? I'm just looking at the fact that, again, we see that Galactic Legend available. If there's maybe one of the strategists a little bit too far ahead, that could be a problem. Instead, though, actually, if they portal past, that will actually leave them with that Star-Lord behind them. They might not even realize it, because you wouldn't expect somebody to be in this position.
There we go. The Shanty unleashed. The Eye of Agamotto in play. JT with another Ripasuko. The tanks are putting up numbers. It was ASD to draw first blood, but that river ran red quickly. 1:30 on the clock. So close to the checkpoint. Euphoria, the clear favorites we thought starting out this tournament, but they're struggling.
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot to be able to break through this choke. It seemed like they were decently set up in the last, but the ultimate usage combined together did the majority. Now on the attack, though, still having that Galactic Legend available, having an Eye of Agamotto for themselves as well. There's a lot of potential for a team wipe here, but I think there's been a counter. You've seen that Invisible Woman ult just going to keep the majority of this defensive side alive. In fact, they will all still be standing. November 24 is even trying to battle and brawl up close, but that hasn't gone to plan. The first to falter in this, what could be the last stand for them. If they manage to take this over the line, it could all be done here.
Running down that clock, the name of the game. Euphoria, though, they bought themselves 2 picks. That's what they have to push forward on. Guys, having swapped, well, goodness gracious, having swapped to the Mr. Fantastic, the idea being you're reaching overtime, that ultimate or even some of the abilities can just remove players from the payload, but he doesn't get a chance to use it. Big play. That was their chance to contest back on the side, get the squids in. Instead, Namor's out of play. Big DPS removed, and the damage swings firmly in favor of the attacking side. It looked like they were up against the ropes, but they've come back swinging. NLE still with an Eye of Agamotto as well. Neko about to have ult online. It's no longer the Loki, but the invisible boundary will certainly help out. This is now putting the pressure back onto Rejects.
This is the thing. They almost managed to get it over that second marker. Euphoria's goal is to succeed where they failed. Yeah, this is that top rope coming in for NLE. A chance to drop down from above and really let that ultimate have the impact that's necessary. It's been utilized on the other side, but probably going to be countered out by the usage of that invisible boundary. Even still, ASD is going to be the first to draw blood in this fight. Another one coming up for LNE now, and as they try to retreat, they fall into that backline player, into the person that's causing them issues. And just as the heal ult runs out, it is a wipe down, already eliminating every single player. A chance to jump right up close to the finale.
Oh, Jeff. They've heard Jeff. Okay, he's gonna get away. He's all right. There's no way you hunt Jeff down from that position, but look who came out to try and help him. Could have been dangerous, and instead it has given a little bit of charge towards the ultimate. Now Jeff's ult gonna be great for removing them from that point if we do hit the OT. That's gonna be very easy as well to farm up for guys. Plenty of heals put down in a very straight line. This is an opportunity, but they have to get to OT first. There's a minute and 15 to go, and the pick is immediate from ASD. The flank up the back is coming in, and it's Happy doing so much damage, cleaned up by his teammates. Devastating blow in the final hour as Happy snipes them out of the sky. This is looking like it's done, and Dustin, a couple meters between them and the championship. They've done it. The Marvel Rival Invitational goes to the side of Euphoria. They were 3-0 down starting this grand final, but they made it all the way back with the reverse sweep.